evenings, the guys will watch some ball games. We're getting some pizza and wings for them, and just give them a chance to spend some time together. So Friday morning, like we do when we travel most often, we'll practice in the morning, head out to the airport, and make the trip to Texas.
And family, it's been so important, a big part of your program since coming on board here in 2014. So within the context of getting prepared during the week, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to really celebrate the spirit of Thanksgiving, and especially for those players who won't be able to be at home with their families back in their hometown.
Well, we just get to spend time together, and these guys do that. They do spend a lot of time together, but you know we're very close. When you spend the time that we do and invest together, make the physical, mental, and emotional the investments together. You do that with a group of people, they become important to you. So we'll be thankful for that opportunity, and looking forward to some fun meals and hopefully some good workouts and practices this week.
So let's get into the rivalry with UTSA. Really a rivalry. It's not really burgeoning anymore. It's been over the last several years. You faced off against the Roadrunners when you were an independent. UTSA was in Conference USA, then the American Conference. First game as conference opponents 1 year ago, also on Thanksgiving Day weekend, and also a huge game for your team. Army went into that game last Thanksgiving weekend at home here at Michie Stadium, needing a victory to secure home field for the American Championship game. Your team grinded out what was a huge, dramatic victory over UTSA. Let's talk about the Roadrunners, and I'll tell you what's interesting. Each week, it seems like there's an influx of 55 new players on a number of these teams with the transfer portal, losing 40, bringing in 50, what have you. There are some transfers on this UTSA team, but they have a lot of players who have been with them multiple years and also been homegrown that have grown up in their program.
They do. Jeff Traylor, the coach there, he's done a really good job with that program. He's done a good job locally with the Texas kids, the San Antonio area kids in particular. And when they've had guys that perhaps have had opportunities to go into the portal and seek other opportunities, they've done a nice job of keeping them. Obviously, making an investment and keeping those guys there with them. And I think continuity helps. It helps every program. Certainly, if you got a good player, you want to keep one. A guy that's a good leader, you want to have him in your locker room year after year. And Jeff's done a good job of that.
2 straight years you have defeated UTSA. 2023, that was a Friday night in September, of victory in the Alamo Dome. And then last year at West Point, Owen McCown, the lefty quarterback for the Roadrunners, you'll see him for the 3rd straight year, and he's just progressively gotten better, as you would expect, over the past 3 years. And he's playing among the best in the American, and last week UTSA putting up 58 points against East Carolina, who had consensus when folks talk about the conference, maybe the best defense in the American. That was some performance.
It was some performance. You're not making me feel any better here, Rich. Man, they are good. They're explosive. They've got a ton of athletes. They got a really great offensive line. Just talking about their offense and what they did last week against East Carolina was truly impressive. They're hard to beat down there. They're hard to beat here. I mean, we've had some real battles against these guys, and like I said, Jeff does a great job. They're very well coached. They're extremely talented. They're playing really well. And that quarterback does. He gets better every time he plays. And so it's going to be a tremendous challenge for us.
And your quarterback, Cale Helms, is getting better, it seems, each and every week. 3 touchdowns on the ground, had a career-high 158 yards. When you talk about your offensive line, and of course, Paolo Generelli missing the game and Braden Bartosh getting the start at right guard and running behind that line, how excited have you been about the running game, especially running your quarterback?
I think just talking about the personnel up front, those guys have really worked hard together. And having veteran players like Generali and Brady Small, Will Jeffcoat, who's really a first-time starter, all the time starter. But you mentioned Braden Bartosh, who on senior day got his first start with the injury to Paulo. He did a really good job. He had a good game, and I think Teddy Williams and Henry Appleton have continued to get better. Parker Pulaski's a first-year starter. He's doing a good job, and we just try to get better every week. And we rely on the quarterback a lot. We run him a lot. We did that with Bryson a year ago, and Cale's handling that pretty well. And you take some poundings and you get knocked around and beat up a little bit, but he just keeps coming back. So tough kid, and had some really good runs on Saturday. Probably a few plays he'd like to get back. Some we'd like to get back too. But that's part of the growing process and learning process, and hopefully he'll learn from those mistakes and we won't make them again.
Well, coming up next, we're going to have our special guest, your kickoff specialist, one of your 23 seniors who were honored on Senior Day this past Saturday. And I know someone who has really grown in this program, had his season cut short 1 year ago, enjoying a terrific First D campaign. That's your kickoff specialist, Anderson Britton.
This is a tough guy, and people be surprised to hear you say that about a kicker, but he's tough as nails. And to have an ACL tear on his kicking leg.
A lot of times it's the plant leg.
It is, and it's sometimes just freak things happen. Temple last year on Thursday night kicked off, and when you kick off, you plan on your left if you're a right footer, and you land on your right. So as you follow through, you land on the right leg. He came down and it just gave out, and he came hobbling off, and our training staff said, we checked him out, and we're going to have to check him for an ACL. And I said, an ACL? And you'd see that as a kicker if he had to go make a tackle or something like that, but just a freak accident. And when it's his kicking leg, you think he'll never kick again. He'll never be the same. And this guy just battled back, worked extremely hard through the offseason, wears a knee brace on his kicking leg, and he's still drilling the ball into the end zone and out of the end zone on kickoff. So just incredibly proud of this guy. He is tough and competitive and resilient, and he's fun to talk to. So we'll enjoy having him on the show.
Oh, just a great personality, and really special teams is such a big part. You cut your teeth in special teams, and it's something that has been such a big part of your program here at West Point. When we come back, the First Tee kickoff specialist, Anderson Britton, joining us here on This Week in Army Football, live from the Cadet First Class Club right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Audience ready in 5, 4, 3.
And welcome back to the Cadet First Class Club. This week in Army football, Black Knights taking on UTSA coming up on Saturday, 3:30 Eastern Time. Kickoff from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. Airtime across the Army Sports Network at 1:30 with the Army Football Tailgate Show. Time now for our special guest. And you folks might say special teams is an unsung unit on a team, but never with Jeff Monken. This is a unit, the Sauce team, led by Sean Saturnio, your special teams coordinator, that always gets its recognition. And one of the great stories, one of the great guys on this Army football team joins us. He's a firstie from Ringgold, Georgia, the Army kickoff specialist. Where's number 1? Anderson Britton joining us here on This Week in Army Football. Anderson, this is great to have you on because I'll tell you what, there's so much yardage that's determined in kickoffs, what could go right, also what could go wrong. It's such a critical position. And I'll tell you, you're someone, do you realize how important it is when you're on that football field, the kickoff specialist position?
Hitting yardage is definitely an important thing to win. So I guess every game I just try and do my part in that. You know, James does his part, and then also the guys covering the kicks is probably the most important part. So just trying to give them the best shot to, win the hidden yardage battle.
I'll tell you, Jeff, when you win the coin toss and you defer, you're putting the ball in this guy's off his foot to begin a football game. Yep. There's got to be a lot of trust in your kickoff person. I've always felt that's a position that because you only maybe notice things when they go wrong on a kickoff. There's got to be a lot of trust in the person doing that.
Every time the ball gets kicked on a kickoff or a punt, there's about 40 yards of field position at stake. And those are big plays. There aren't any offensive plays that we have or anybody has that averages 40 yards of field position every time you run that play. But the kickoff does. So it's a big play. And as Anderson said, giving the guys that cover the kicks the best opportunity to do their job. And he does a pretty good job of not making them cover it very much. He kicks them into the end zone and out of the end zone. But there have been times where even balls kicked into the end zone, guys have carried it out. So it's got to be high enough and have hang time that allows those guys to get down there and be in position so that there's not a long return even on a deep kick.
So we were used to, we had Cole Talley as a kickoff specialist for a long time.
Yep.
Anderson comes in last year, has a terrific start to the year, and then the injury against Temple. Take us through that. How tough was that for you?
Yeah, it was definitely hard. Had my hopes set pretty high for coming in to start behind Talley. I competed with him for a while. He made me a whole lot better. Had a good relationship with him, but I was excited to finally get my chance. And then got cut a little bit short, but had to take on a different role after that and just kind of support from the sidelines. But yeah, it was definitely hard, not knowing what was coming after that.
And Jeff, that was because you think about it, you had it really rolling there in late September. You're taking on Temple, and then after that, Trey Granati had to handle both the kickoffs and the placement. So it's not like you had a set backup for Anderson when he went down.
Well, Trey was the backup, but obviously Anderson was the starter for a reason. He just consistently putting that thing deeper and into the end zone, and we had to cover a lot more kicks, frankly, when Trey took over. And Trey did just a great job with the place kicks, field goals and PATs, and really had some good kickoffs for us. But Anderson just has a really strong leg, and people that watch him, he's not the biggest guy in terms of stature. He's not a big long lever guy, but man, he's got a lot of power and generates a lot of power. And so that was the thing that even after, as I said, that injury from a year ago and being able to come back and really not seem to have lost any of that is pretty remarkable.
So let's talk about you coming to West Point and from Ringgold, Georgia. You mentioned the mountains of Georgia coming here to West Point, and you work through, I guess there's no scout team for the kickers. You're really working out. How crowded of a group is that? There always seem to be a lot of kickers, working on their craft. So not only is it, I'm sure, an accomplishment to get an opportunity to come here to West Point to play football, you've got to beat out a fair amount of people to get the position that you're in. Just take us through those first couple of years.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to get a little overwhelmed with all the guys in the room. but definitely just trying to keep your head down and come to work every day and get better. You know, you're not necessarily on the scout team, but you are kind of towards the bottom of the depth and have to work your way up. And, you know, that can be overwhelming, but to just understand that, like, you know, eventually you'll get your time if you just continue to get better every day. And so that's what I try to do coming in.
Jeff, you've been a special teams coach throughout your career. Sean Saturnio is someone you have implicit trust in leading your special teams unit. What are you looking for in a kickoff specialist? How do you evaluate all of those folks they're trying to be that guy that's handling those kickoffs?
It starts with our evaluations of these guys when they're in high school and watching the film that we get and we do. I mean, putting a stopwatch on the video and watching the ball come off of their foot, seeing the height, the hang time, the distance, all of those things, and it just how they generate their leg speed. And Coach Saturnio does a great job of evaluating. We've got several people that have touch points on that, and then when we have this core of guys that we recruit and eventually end up here at West Point, then it really is a matter of just developing these guys once they get here. And you know, there are adjustments, and one of those is coming into a room where there's a lot of competition. So many high school kickers, they're self-taught. They've got no coach on their high school staff that's coaching them. They go over and kick on their own, and they've got to correct their own mistakes, and they set up their phones and video themselves. And so one of the things here is they're getting a lot of coaching, and sometimes it's tweaking and changing, oftentimes little technical issues to try to help them and to work through that. It's like changing a golf swing, and sometimes it just takes a while to work through that. But often they'll become even better and more productive when they do those things. But there's there are long lines, and that's the case at every position here, and kind of seeing your way to the top, and it looks like a long way, but here, if guys stay, same as these guys in the specialist room, if they stay, they're going to find their way into the games and play. And Anderson's a great example of that. Just his perseverance to be able to come in after Beast Barracks and you know, the tired legs that you have and not feel like yourself as a kicker and get through that and get through the plebe year and the sophomore year sometimes. And he's found his way into the lineup in a really important piece of the special teams.
Anderson, favorite moment when you've been on the field this season?
Oh, gosh. I'd probably say Kansas State. You know, we come into that game, and it's a close game. Kickoff, I didn't hit a great ball. We give up a touchdown. You know, and a lot of that's on me, so I was kind of hanging my head a little bit, and then we call a squib and get a little fortunate bounce. Cole Seawright gets on the ball and steals a possession for us. So just a big play in a big game, and that was really exciting in that type of environment. Really excited for the guys around me like Cole and just the rest of the kickoff unit to get that ball back for the rest of the team.
That was a great moment, Rich.
Oh, you know, was it a squib, surprise onside? You're looking to make something happen there, right? And that's the recovering the fumble against UAB. Now Granati, he forced and recovered a fumble.
Yes,
so
he did.
Still, you know, there's still a bar to reach there. But I'll tell you what, recovering that fumble had to be a great moment.
That one's definitely up there. Trey gave me a text after that one, and so good to hear from him. Guys, I guess, done something similar before.
So, Anderson, what are your thoughts on becoming an officer in the U.S. Army? What are you looking forward to most after? I know you have branch night coming up, and you know there'll be post night, but graduation coming up next May. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm just super excited to continue to be a part of a team. I think football here is just amazing to be around such a great group of guys, and it's no different in the Army. You know, you're around great guys and girls, and just continue to better yourself. And I'm excited for another team aspect, just like here. So, nothing different, but just super excited to continue that.
Jeff can be a tough guy to replace.
He will be, and he's done a great job, but I'm glad we got him for a few more games here.
Yeah, a few more games. 3 more games here for Anderson Britton. Here is the Army kickoff specialist. We appreciate you stopping by, and best of luck on Saturday in San Antonio, and a happy Thanksgiving as well.
Thanks for having me.
That's Army first-classman kickoff specialist Anderson Britton joining us here on This Week in Army Football. When we come back, Director of Intercollegiate Athletics, Tom Theodorakis, will join us, talk about some of the great moments this fall with the Army West Point Athletic Department. That coming up from the Cadet First Class Club in just a moment, right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Good job. Thanks, Coach.
And welcome back to the Cadet First Class Club this week in Army football. I'm overcome by the fan support for our next special guest, rolling right along with Army head coach Jeff Monken, getting set for Army at UTSA on Saturday at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, 3:30 Eastern Time. Kickoff airtime across the Army Sports Network at 1:30 p.m. And I know we talked to him earlier in the year on This Week in Army Football, but just to get an update as the fall sports rounding up, and now what's going to be a big off season in regards to the home stadium for the Army football program. How about a This Week in Army Football welcome to the 31st Director of Intercollegiate Athletics here at Army West Point, Tom Theodorakis. Tom, welcome back to the show.
Rich, thank you for having me.
So first off, I guess Saturday, that was the final game in the current configuration of Michie Stadium officially, as the next Army home game, late August, early September 2026, the Michie Stadium Preservation Project will open. And I know these last 2 years, challenge opportunity with some things being different logistically around the stadium. And now, I guess, Theo, you look forward to that first game with the new structure that'll be up there.
Yes, sir. I mean, Rich, to be honest with you, it's kind of sad. I wish we had more time together. I can't believe the home football season's over. No, but you're 100% right? New Michie in 26. And I think it's an opportunity for me to actually thank all of our staff and the amazing job they've done the last 2 years. We've been, Coach, operating and playing a football game in a construction site the last 2 years.
Yeah, well, we have. And man, it's looking good over there, though.
It is. It's beautiful.
Yep.
Absolutely gorgeous. But I think we take for granted sometimes, the fact that, the amount of work and what the staff has had to go through. That's everything from the military police to, our internal operations crew, our facilities crew, and making sure that we provide our fans with the best experience possible given those circumstances, which are not easy. So what they've been able to accomplish the last 2 years is unbelievable. And really looking forward to actually now having a full stadium and an absolutely beautiful $170 million renovation. It's going to be great for everybody. It's not just the fans, but also our cadets. It's going to be a great environment.
I'll tell you what, Jeff, I'm on the 5th floor of the Hoffman press box during games, and I just visualize in my mind those 4,000 cadets from the north end zone of Michie Stadium being, goal line to goal line, basically across the way. That is going to be a beautiful sight.
Well, we're looking forward to that. We'll get them back there behind the opposing team and let them give them the business, but as well as the other fans that are going to be sitting on that side and all the boxes and the club seating, and just what an incredible upgrade to a historic stadium, and I'm sure everybody's going to be really excited to see that moment that we cut the ribbon and let fans in on that side.
I know there's many positives and so much with the upscaling with the Michie Stadium Preservation Project. I found it interesting earlier on in the show, Jeff Monken just mentions in passing Levy Restaurants and what they're doing for a meal for his team. And it just got me thinking of partnering with Levy from a food standpoint, food and beverage standpoint, Fanatics from a retail standpoint, now having this new facility on the far side. Theo, it's that vision we talk about a lot, that the fans that are watching us tonight on YouTube Live or come out to games, they can really expect just another step in that upscaled experience.
100%, Rich. And on top of that, we started serving alcohol at Michie for the first time. So
there you go. All right. Good times for everybody.
All those things combined, it's the opportunity for all of us to not only to set the foundation for what that experience is going to be. So for us, it's working with Levy to take that next step forward. It's working with Fanatics to take that next step forward. And there's new spaces, new opportunities out there. And I think with this new Michie, it's just going to take it to another level.
MichieStadium.com, if you want to get involved, things still going on. There's still opportunities, right, Theo, whether it's
very
naming.
Very limited tickets left, Rich, so get them while you can.
Yeah, very limited tickets left. It's also been a very successful fall here at West Point. Army women's cross country winning the Patriot League Championship, a runner competing in the Nationals in Columbia, Missouri. The Army women's soccer team winning the Patriot League tournament, appearing in the NCAA tournament. You got conference runner-up finishes for sprint football, for volleyball. Men's soccer made the Patriot League tournament. So as we've navigated ourselves through this first season of 3, you would say, at West Point, you have to be happy with the results on the field and on the courts.
100%, Rich. So I'll tell you, the athletic director gets way too much credit. That goes to the coaches and the cadets. They've done an amazing job this fall. We talk about it often, but one of our pillars for success, one of our priorities is competitive success. And it's measuring, and you measure that in conference championships. You measure that in beating Navy and beating Air Force, and this fall is a great example of that.
And women's rugby making the national semifinals as well. We see Jeff Monken out at a number of those events. Jeff, you always like to go out and support. When it's Army, Navy, Army, Air Force, you have a recruiting weekend in town. You're not a stranger during football season.
No, I like to get out there, and I mean, I've been to. It's hard. It's hard because a lot of times those events are going on during practice or we're traveling. But I like to poke my nose in on rifle and rugby and just, there's so many things going on here. There's gosh, all the sports here. I mean, it's awesome. If you love sports, this place is a paradise. I mean, you can see an event almost every day of the year here, and so it's fun. It's fun to get out and support our other teams and our coaches, and I admire and respect them so much. They do such a great job with the cadets we got here, and we got a lot of great winning programs.
And I know, Theo, something that we were very proud of back on Veterans Day, November 11th, the game Jeff Monken was at, Army men's basketball hosting then number 4 Duke, and a chance to honor one of the great coaches, one of the great leaders in sports of any level in this country. That's 1969 West Point graduate Mike Krzyzewski, the all-time leader in men's basketball Division I victories. What was that experience like, Theo, for you, the department, and the cadet athletes that were touched and impacted?
Yeah, so I'll go back to our staff. I think they did a tremendous job. You talk about West Point moments. That was certainly one of them. We broke the attendance record that day. And for us, it was an opportunity to honor Coach K. He's obviously now retired, not coaching anymore, and for him to come back here and for him to talk about his story at West Point and how it impacted his life and how his experience here led him to do many great things in the world and have an impact. How great is it for our cadets to see that?
Yeah.
Right? You talk about a living, breathing example of someone who's gone through it, not just as a cadet, but as a coach. Truly special moment. And we heard from a lot of people after that day. It was not just from the Krzyzewski family, but a lot of West Point graduates were proud that day. And I think it was a great opportunity. I think our staff did a tremendous job in telling that story.
Mike Krzyzewski, one of the great coaches in college basketball history, and Jeff Monken, one of the great college football coaches coaching right now.
Well,
Yep.
Jeff, what kind of impact?
kind.
What are your interactions with Mike Krzyzewski, though? I know you were at that game that night. I know there have been different events throughout the years, and just curious what kind of words he shared, impact that you all have shared with each other.
I've had a chance to meet him a couple of times here. He comes back to do the Coach K Award, and I always try to ask him something about leadership. I admire and respect him so much. It would be difficult to say that we've had a grad that's been more successful in their industry beyond the Army and whatever they've chosen to do than Mike Krzyzewski in basketball. We've had people that have gone to the moon and the International Space Station and own professional sports franchises and CEOs of companies and governors and presidents. But I don't know if there's anybody that's been more successful in their career choice beyond the Army than Coach K. And he's a respected leader. He will go down in history as one of the great, not just coaches, but one of the great leaders in sports. And so what a privilege to have a chance to talk with him and just have the guy say, you know what, you're doing a great job and I'm proud of you. And I've been on his podcast. He does a weekly radio podcast, and that's been a lot of fun. And so, like I said, I just ask a little bit of advice, and it's just a pleasure to have a chance to see him every time he comes back.
Well, Thea, we're in the
He's
midst.
also a huge Army football fan.
Huge Army football fan.
He follows us closely.
Listens to games. He watches games. I know he's shared that in the past. Theo, fall, putting a wrap on it in the winter, Army. We talked about men's basketball, that great moment with Duke. Army women's basketball 5-1 under new head coach Katie Kuster. The Army hockey team under new head coach Zach McKelvey having a solid start to the season and a successful day yesterday at the Black Knight Invite for the Army wrestling program. A lot of fun.
It's been great, and I think for us, let's just continue to win, right? There's a lot of opportunities for us, whether it's football or whether it's our fall sports ending or going into winter. The expectation here is to win, and there's a lot of opportunities ahead.
Last question, and I've stayed away from making this a big subject on the show the past couple weeks because we'll be able to talk in a couple of weeks. But the Army-Navy uniforms, Theo, need your on-the-record opinion on it on This Week in Army Football. The Army 250 collection. It's garnered a lot of positive comments. What are your thoughts of the rollout, how it looks, and it's going to be worn December 13th?
Army West Point has the best jerseys in the country because of what it represents and what this institution produces.
Record that clip. 3-inch headlines. That's what it is. Theo, Appreciate the time, as always.
All right.
That's Army West Point Director of Athletics Tom Theodorakis joining us here on This Week in Army Football. When we come back, more Black Knights football talk. It's Army at UTSA on Saturday. We're back in just a moment right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Audience ready in 5, 4, 3.
Army fans, FWM for plumbing, heating, HVAC, refrigeration, pipe, valves, fittings, and more. With extensive inventory, personalized service, over 100 locations, and a fleet of trucks across the Northeast. Visit FWWeb.com for a location near you. Rolling right along this week in Army football. Black Knights taking on UTSA coming up on Saturday, the regular season finale. It'll be senior day for the Roadrunners at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, and that's where UTSA plays. They've talked about maybe an on-campus stadium. And as we talked about with Tom Fedorakis on our last segment, Jeff Monken, the Mikey Stadium Preservation Project, that's going to be so special for so many reasons. The fans, the cadets, your team. It's, seeing it come to fruition, the glass going on the suites, it's got to feel special.
It looks fantastic, and as we said here, it's gonna, when there's finally people in those seats over there, when the cadets are over there, it's gonna be awesome. So looking forward to that, it felt a little bit the last couple of years just a little bit different not having people over there, and it'll be nice to have our crowd back on both sides, just surrounding the stadium and surrounding the field, and so that'll be quite a sight and a big event when we open that up next year.
For me, one of the things I think about is the whole structure. It's kind of in place now. It's been in place for a few weeks. For folks that are going to have a club seat there, ledge seat, suite, loge box, the amount of time that's going to be spent appointing the inside of that building, we're looking at 9 months are going to be spent. Carpets, walls, fixtures. That is going to be a 10 out of 10 when it opens next summer.
It will, and I'm excited to see it. Just to when they finally get all that done and take the grand tour and get all the views from those suites up there, it's going to be really special, and it enhances the entire experience for the folks that'll be over there and for the very first time have an opportunity to see Army football in a completely different way.
Jeff, just want to touch on a couple of your players over the last couple of games. It was awesome on Saturday to see Justin Weaver back. He had missed a couple of games. He was back on senior day. How did he do, and how will he feel? How do you feel to utilize him the rest of the way?
He had a good game, and Daryl's been rotating those guys at corner a pretty good bit with Weaver, Mays, Jabril Williams, and Jackson Hammond, and they're all doing some good things. And so Justin's such an athletic guy, and he's made some really good plays for us here and had some good games, and it was good to have him back in there. It's just nice to have the depth and have an extra guy in the rotation.
Cody Harris-Miller, one of my absolute favorites, came back, and maybe to some people it was against all odds come back to get back for the Air Force game. And he's seen progressively more time each of the past few games. How would you evaluate his health? Maybe a percentage, how you feel about him, because he's got one more game than the Navy game after that. How does he feel right now?
He's getting better, gaining confidence, and obviously that it's hard to come back after being out for so long and just jump right back in the mix. What I was really proud of, his first game back was Air Force. He played over 50 snaps, which is a lot coming off of an injury. And he's just been rugged and tough, and I think again playing more confident on that injury, and that's I think that might be the biggest challenge, is getting back in there and the uncertainty of how your body's going to respond, and he's really handled it well.
A new face, a new name in the fullback rotation over the past few weeks. That's number 7, God's Power Wawihe, and maybe saw his most extensive action against Tulsa. How do you feel he's doing? Someone who was moved from quarterback to fullback. I know he's been very impressive in practice.
He is. He's very explosive. He's been learning the position. He's a lifetime quarterback that moved there to the running back position. So he's got a lot to learn. Not just with carrying the football, but the blocking elements and where his fit is on all the different runs. And so he's learning, and he did a good job on Saturday. There's obviously watching him, there's still some places where he can improve and see the blocks and fit a little bit better, and he'll do that the more he plays. He's going to gain confidence every time he carries the ball. So we're going to keep working him and keep working to improve his skills there.
I'm just trying to think, if God's Power Wawihe was running the option, right, and you're a corner coming up and you see that body coming after you, I mean, that's got to be something, right, with him running the option at quarterback.
GP is really a very physical kid, but you talk about a corner and a quarterback coming at you. When Daly would come at those guys last year,
it wasn't too much different.
Yeah, Captain America, he might as well have a big shield in front of him. That guy was tough and hard to bring down.
That's Army head coach Jeff Monken. I'm Rich DeMarco here on This Week in Army Football. When we come back, one more round of questions for the Army head coach right here on the Army Sports Network from Learfield. And welcome back to This Week in Army Football. We mentioned this being the second to last show of the 2025 season. Our final show will be the Monday of Army-Navy Week, which is always a fun week. Exciting, so many things going on. We'll see you back here at the First Tee Club for that final show of 2025. So, Jeff, I was trafficked a question from a Theo at West Point. And this Theo from West Point wants to know, Jeff, what is your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
All right. So
take us through the Thanksgiving, first of all.
I frankly am not a fan of the traditional Thanksgiving dinner, the turkey, dressing, ham, mashed potatoes. I'm not a fan at all.
Okay.
In fact, I am envious of our superintendent, Lieutenant General Gillen, who will be traveling to Texas early and likely eating brisket and barbecue, and I am incredibly envious of that. He's going to have like my dream Thanksgiving, eating barbecue. There's no way I could convince the folks at my house to do that, but I like a side item. I like collard greens.
Solid.
And dessert, I definitely like a sweet potato pie. So thank you
So I
very
think there's
much.
some folks here who...
And I got to tell you, I like a store-bought Patti LaBelle sweet potato pie from Walmart. That's my favorite sweet potato pie.
So you know
how's
now.
that for being very specific?
So anyone who's going to see Coach on Thursday, you know, Walmart.
Patti LaBelle, she knows her way around a pie. She knows her way around a song in the 60s, and she knows her way around a pie.
I like that. Patti LaBelle sweet potato pie,
Yeah.
which you can find at your local Walmart.
She can send me some royalties now.
That would be good. We need to get that clip off to Patti LaBelle. I
Yep.
think that would be a lot of fun. So Jeff, between now and Saturday, and I know you'll get back on the practice field tomorrow. Always like to ask you about health, and Justin Weaver coming back was tremendous. We didn't see Briggs Bartosh in the game on Saturday. You think you'll have your fullback?
We're working
back?
through it. I hope we can, but we'll see. And it's one of those injuries that is time sensitive, and so we're just going to continue to try to get him to improve, and hopefully he'll be ready to go.
And his older brother, Braden Bartosh, did a nice job at right guard. Paolo Gennarelli is out. How long you think before we'll see Paolo back?
Paulo could be back on Saturday for the ball game, and we're hoping he will. And again, that's our training room, and they're working through those things with him. So he's such an important piece of the offensive line. Hopefully he'll be back.
I'll tell you one thing that's great heading into the holiday is really the injuries and the health situation, where 1 year ago there were tons of injuries piling up at this point of the year, and that win against UTSA was done with a lot of players on the shelf. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yep, and you know what? This is a great team we're playing against. It'll be a great challenge. Jeff does a great job with his team. They're talented, well coached, but we're excited for the opportunity, and we're going to go down there and try to play our very best.
So Thanksgiving on Thursday, will you make up for the brisket with the post-game meal on Saturday after the game?
I know that we will eat barbecue
Okay.
at some point down there, and I'll likely try to find a way to eat it more than once.
So there you go. So Riverwalk, barbecue, San Antonio, the Alamo. Going to be a lot of fun this weekend for Army football at UTSA. Jeff Monken, we appreciate the time. We will see you on the flight on Friday, press conference tomorrow, but a happy Thanksgiving to you, your team, and of course your family.
Same to you and everybody, Rich.
Sounds like a plan. That is Army head coach Jeff Monken. This broadcast, an exclusive presentation of Army West Point Sports Properties, a property of Learfield, under the broadcasting rights granted by the United States Military Academy at West Point. This broadcast is copyrighted. Any rebroadcast or reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the expressed written consent of the Academy and Army West Point Sports Properties. The general manager is Steve Tucker. We'd like to thank Skylar, Jimmy, and Tony keeping us on the air. Brett Rory handling our video web stream on YouTube Live. We'd like to thank our special guests, Army Senior Kickoff Specialist Anderson Britton, Black Knights Director of Athletics Tom Theodorakis. For Army head coach Jeff Monken, Rich DeMarco saying so long from the First Tee Club. It's Army and UTSA coming up on Saturday. Thank you so much for watching, listening. Have a great rest of your Monday night, everyone. You know Patti LaBelle's story with Army football, right? No. So we